Yeah, my name is Martin. When I'm here, I'm representing a number of outfits. First of all, I'm a non-profit leader, now a PBO, Empower and Serve Kenya. Also the current chair for Charter for Change. If you have not heard about Charter for Change, it is a working group. It is a convening between the INGOs and local organizations. And also, these are when you look at the PBO Act also comes in as to strengthen the localization agenda, where the local organizations are stronger, they are better. And I'm also happy to see the place of the forums and networks within that platform. Again, now we like to go directly to our discussions for the day. And again, happy to see the provisions that the updated versions. I think the more you have done the presentations, it's getting a little bit clearer. And especially when you talk about the marginalized, the minority, and the special groups, specifically mentioning indigenous groups, persons with specific needs, women, youth. And so there is just a question on how the act or the regulations would clearly distinguish the purpose, and also when it comes to registration, how we'll be able to also make it easier for such to register as such. So there is need for classification and clustering of the groups. Then also have targeted waiver and fee variation when it comes to different services, including registration. And also another point here is specific guidance on how the authority is collaborating with the social development offices. There's need for clarity on how each category fits within the PBO framework and whether specific requirements or provisions do apply. The regulations should acknowledge some of the existing structures and the integration where possible. Then that will help with better implementation, but possibly that can still come in as a clarification. We have already highlighted the benefit that comes with as part of a sustainability model, but also when we are living at a time on social enterprises. Personally, from the organization I lead, we do have some income generation, and at some point we have been figuring out probably to register a company. Then it becomes very tedious. Probably it's just some bids that are being generated by the participants. So you wonder, how do we help and make sure that it doesn't contravene the act? So the provision is great, but then when it comes to registration, it also comes with accountability. Then how, while the PBO Act allows for income generation, there is also need to declare the interest. Maybe will I register a PBO specifically with an intent to be able to do income generation. Then to our last bullet in the same sense is about the INGO. First of all, highlighting the need for the INGO voice within the PBO. And of course, one of the questions that was in my group is their participation. The specific note that the specific requirements for INGOs, especially to be able to engage and also to have a local person within their board or such kind of regulations, that there is some further scrutiny that are specific for INGOs, and it should not be a restrictive measure in terms of their purpose and their intent to be able to do good. And I think that's also something good. So undue restriction may jeopardize the operation and the independence of the INGOs. So then there's need to create implementation and compliance that is not restrictive. And also maybe it could also be a way of potentially hindering the global collaboration that would come in therein. So it would be good to hear potentially what voices we have had from INGOs. So we recommend that the provision be clarified or even revised to have a balance on localization goals and also need for flexibility and the independence of the international
organizations, and also in terms of communication mechanisms, again within the INGOs, establishing clear procedures around that process. We also had a few cross-cutting, and I felt we needed just to mention them. And I know there is a team that will be emphasizing them, especially to do with taxation as part of the process and the provisions that we have. Then there is a question on exemption and the processes therein. There's a question that local organizations face significant hurdles trying to access the exemption, and that is in regard to the connection and ability to deal with the taxman, KRA in this context, and that also needs to be a provision. So that was a cross-cutting item. And also another cross-cutting item is in regard to representation within the county, and that's a question on how CSOs and the processes of CSOs being represented within the county government.